All praises to the Most High. This is Elliot. All praises, all praises. Today I'm going to talk about what gang stalking has taught me about spiritual awareness. And really, I don't need to stop at just gang stalking. I could talk about the narcissist abuse. I could talk about just spiritual warfare of any type and how it has definitely made my spiritual awareness very keen. And probably yours too. If not, this is what I want to help you develop today. See, as we enter out into this world, there's a lot of things that face us in terms of opposition. And one of the key things about gang stalking and what it's done, I talk about victory over gang stalking and how to make sure that if you are ever targeted and gang stalked, which is when the supernatural realm comes together with the natural realm and you start seeing different manifestations of things that are just would make you think that you were losing your mind, right? You could be feeling like you're followed. You could have weird encounters. People could enter your space, say weird things, take pictures of you, all types of different things people have experienced. But I don't want to stay there because a lot of these things happen in the spiritual realm to get you off kilter, to get you in a state of fear and despair and really kind of get you to the point where you're caught in that vicious cycle. But when you come out of it, okay, a lot of people talk about experiencing gang stalking in terms of being overt and covert, meaning where like they're always around, but sometimes they're more active in your life. I don't use those terms. I don't really get into the point of teaching it by the books. I look at most things as being completely spiritual. This whole world, this whole matrix that we're in is spiritual. Everything, okay? Everything, even the bugs and the birds, okay? Everything out in our atmosphere is a very spiritual things, okay? So when we get to the point of having this keen spiritual awareness and knowing that at any given moment, at any given time, we could see things manifest before us. So there are a lot of clues and indicators that are around us that we could hone in on beforehand, okay? It'll help us move accordingly in this matrix. The Bible speaks on this too. I think it's 1 Peter. It's like 5. It's in the 5th chapter. It's probably like verse 4 or verse 5, I think. Verse 8. It says, man, this is one of my favorite scriptures, and I just think I forgot it. Okay, so be sober and be vigilant, because our adversary, the devil, like a roaring lion, prowls around seeking who he may devour. Okay? Be sober and be vigilant. Now, being sober-minded is very, very important, because if we're always gassed up on dopamine and living in a strong sense of euphoria and allowing our flesh to take over our minds and not make good decisions or not being able to see clearly, we are letting our defenses down. So that's to be sure that as we're entering any kind of atmosphere, especially in this matrix, that we have a sober mind and that we are prepared to know that anything is possible at any given time. And vigilant, that's basically saying always being on the lookout for something evil to happen. And as I focus in on victory, one of the things I want to make sure that we all stay basically focused in on is not just the devil and not living life paranoid. Because once you start experiencing weird things in the supernatural, it's very, 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 very easy to become what the world will call paranoid. And you can start to see things and feel things and sense things all the time, and you'll be looking for something so bad all the time that you may not even see the good things. See, the Most High puts angels out there before us too. He puts people in front of us to drive very slow to keep us from an accident. People to drive very slow to keep us or to get us at the appropriate place that we're getting to at just the right time. People who will come into um, our space, a random stranger maybe, and maybe say something that confirms us with the Spirit or give us direction. Okay? He works with his angels too, just like Satan works with his dark angels. So we have to be aware that in the supernatural space that we have to be very, very keen and aware to everything that's going on. And that involves always scanning your environment. Never really be out without knowing exactly what's going on everywhere around you. And again, I'm saying this not to say this in a paranoid state. I want you to say this in a state of wisdom. Know exactly where you're going, even the venues that you go to. If you're going to a venue, and as you start to mature spiritually, you'll know that there's some certain places and certain spaces that actually habitate a lot of demons. There are territories and spiritual parts of neighborhoods and towns that a lot of demons inhabit. Okay? So if there's a reason that you need to be at these places, that you need to make sure that you're very aware, that you're prayed up, of course prayed up all the time, but know exactly where you're going and be very purposeful and diligent in the places that you go and the spaces that you occupy. If you travel with your family, if you travel with your friends and that are on the same page, as well, make sure you guys are prayed up and that you guys are speaking to each other to be prepared and be aware of everything that's happening around you. See, you may not have known until you've experienced gang stalking that there's so many dark vessels in the midst of where you are. And at any given moment, those demons can jump up and be infiltrated and activated to work against you, okay? That's when those ones that actually penetrate. There's actually whole demons out here too that just have one specific purpose, and that's to terrorize. And there are those people that are out there too. But there's some people who are just actually empty vessels, NPCs, skinwalkers that are just out here that anything can jump into them at any time and they can be activated to work against you. So you need to make sure that you're aware. And the Most High, I give him praise because there's rules of engagement to the spirit realm. Many times you should not be caught off guard because as you start to grow and learn, you'll start to understand that there are things that he can show you and that you can learn along the way that'll help you understand and be aware of things before they happen, such as markings. If you see specific type of jewelry, specific type of charms, demonic charms, five-pointed stars, certain crystals. If you see certain types of tattoos, most tattoos really, but certain types specifically, be very aware. If you see certain piercings, be very aware. If you see certain clothing and different types of dress, be very aware. These are different markers that you'll see on people who are basically full of the devil, all right? Empty vessels, and that you could basically say that any given moment, if they're not activated to work against me now, they can be at any moment. So make sure you keep your space, okay? And like I said earlier, there are different territories and places that you may go, you know, entertainment districts where there are a lot of bars and stuff like that. Be careful because each and every weekend or each and every night that those bars are open, there's so much satanic sacrifice that happens in those places, around those places, and after the party, okay? So in those areas, those demons like to fester. In certain neighborhoods, which they call the hood, right? There's certain areas in different neighborhoods where there's continual sacrifice, blood sacrifice, and a lot of demons fester. And when you're around the high level ones, the triangle people, and if you know, you know, I'm just going to leave it there today. If you have any of those people, right, those people in your life, just be very aware because those people in secret do and know a lot of stuff that has to do with this type of thing. And they could be working against your life. So you have to be careful who's in your family, who's your neighbors, who all these people are and how they may be used by Satan in order to come against you at any given time. And the last people I touched on, the triangle people, I'll talk about them more specifically later. But you will find out a lot of those wolves are some of your favorite content creators. They're going to be a lot of your People that the algorithm pushes up front, the ones who teach you, the ones who are the controlled opposition to tell you about the very thing that I'm talking to you about and lead you astray. But I want to let you know that in these last moments of these last days, as we continue to go forth with the Most High, that spiritual awareness is key. And it's one of my biggest takeaways from experiencing spiritual warfare in such a very, very intense fashion. I pray that none of you ever experience is what they call gang stalking or demonic infiltration in such a way where you start to see random things jump up in your physical space that have really very little explanation other than being like a real life haunted house. Okay. But, you know, I do know that from the content that I've created that many people have experienced it because I've spoken about this before. And just hang in there and make sure that as you focus in on victory, as you clean your life up, as you make sure you're closing doors to all the things that you're going through, to make sure that you're not allowing these demons or giving them the rightful access to access your life. Make sure that you're saying, okay, Most High, what is it that you want me to learn from this? How can I go further? And how can I, win after this is all said and done? And it's really being spiritually aware. Even if you're dealing with a narcissist in your life, an evil, wicked witch, when you start to see those manifestations of evil coming against you so intently for years, maybe for almost your whole entire lifetime in some instances, and you start to see that over and over again, then you are finally able to separate the fact that, okay, this isn't a person that I'm dealing with the whole entity, a demon. Okay, that same type of awakening should make you spiritually aware too. And so you need to know how to move around those people, especially if it's possible to get them completely out of your life, right? According to the parameters that the Most High has set, if you're dealing with specific relationships. But really, if you're able to avoid and evade, do so, because that's how you're going to have to move. Always keeping your head on a swivel, always being prayed up everywhere you go, and making sure that you're going hard and strong in the paint when you're out here in this matrix, because it is what it is. It's really, really dark out here. I talked about how gang stalking has kind of ramped up in these last days, and it's because there's way more wickedness has been released. Witchcraft, which used to be kind of in the closet, is completely out in the open. It's so cool now for most people to do. It's talked about. There's so many streams and avenues for people to find out about it. Movies, YouTube, you name it, books. It's just out there, and it seems to be acceptable. Certain types of relationships that used to be once in the dark are out there. It seems to be acceptable. And if you don't accept it, then what? Then you're looked at as you're the wrong one, when it's not according to what the word says. Okay? We have CERN, the Hadron Collider. And if you don't know about CERN, I'm going to go into a teaching on that probably, maybe. I've thought about that for a long time, but there's a lot of teachings out there about CERN if you want to learn about it. But it really is a portal that spins these atoms over and over again, bumping it and bringing out so many different, it's a portal to the dark world, and it's released so many entities into this world. So there's a lot of stuff going on, you guys. Not to mention the pharmakia, the medicines, the pharmaceuticals, and all the things that have been implanted in this world at this specific time that has allowed darkness to prevail. And all these demonic hopes are available for these entities and deities to do what they want to do. But again, I say don't be paranoid. I like to focus on victory. I like to focus on hope. Allow you guys to know that we can also see the Most High moving. See, as we line up with Him and we do what we need to do, He will lead us. He will guide us. He will order our steps. And even if we're fighting in a spiritual battle, then maybe we could be even more prepared to fight in advance. And maybe we could also get to the point where we can see His angels moving. We can see His hand of blessing. That we can go out in times where we know that we feel the peace in our spirit and we're not trying to force or rush or put something into place that the Most High may not want us to do at the specific time. It's called being in His holy flow. And that's where I desire to be most all the time. But even when you're in that, I tell you guys to let you know that it's still the wild, wild west out in this matrix, all day, almost every day. Okay. So be encouraged, you guys. Praise the Most High for all that He's done. And until the next time we speak, shalom.